This video discusses the horrible shooting at Highland Park, Illinois, killing of Jayland Walker, background of actor Chris Hemsworth, and stories about other celebrities. Hello friends, this is Unmasked Truth with Harmanjit Saini, where I provide unique analysis of world events based on the unmasked truth that after surrender, Germany continued World War II clandestinely and became a killing machine. I also provide true news that you will find nowhere else. First is the shooting at Highland Park, Illinois. On 4th of July 2022, 7 people were killed and dozens wounded in downtown Highland Park when 21-year-old Robert Cremo III fired dozens of bullets from a high-powered rifle at a crowd watching the 4th of July parade. The gunman was arrested after more than an 8-hour manhunt and confessed to the shooting. He was charged with murder in a mass shooting. The father of the suspect, Robert Cremo Jr., stated that he had no involvement with the shooting. Of course, no one in his sane mind would admit to aiding and abetting his son's massacre, and yet, just 3 months after the police were called to the family's residence because Cremo III had threatened to kill everyone, the father sponsored his son's firearm owner's identification card in December 2019. To get the FOID card for his son, Creamer Jr. was required to sign an affidavit agreeing to be liable for any damages resulting from the minor applicant's use of firearms or firearm ammunition. But as soon as the son turned 21, he applied for the card on his own, though he would not have been required to renew the original card until 2030. It seems to me that the son was being guided by the family to take such actions. Police investigation indicates that the shooter planned the massacre for weeks. He wore women's clothing and possibly a wig to get away from the massacre scene. It's hard to believe that all the planning required was not noticed by the family. While the police will investigate and learn the extent of the family's involvement in the crime, from the information already available, it seems the family aided and abetted the son's planning and carrying out the massacre and possibly gave him the money to buy the firearms. In my May 30, 2022 video titled Buffalo, New York and Uvalde, Texas school shootings, difficulties in ending mass shootings in the United States, I divided all mass shooters into 4 categories. Number 1, demon influenced. These are those to whom Satan has communicated directly to carry out such shootings, who enthusiastically obey. Into this category of mass shooters fall Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold of Columbine High School infamy, 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School shooting in Parkland, Florida, and then the 2017 Sutherland Springs, Texas church shooter, 26-year-old Devin Patrick Kelly. Then James Holmes, the Aurora, Colorado movie theater shooter, and Genderan, the Buffalo, New York Tops Friendly Market store shooter. By far, most of the mass shooters belong to this category. Second category is those motivated by a warped sense of patriotism, who genuinely believes that the USA is being overrun by minorities out to take over his country. So he must do something about it to bring attention to the problem. An example was 21-year-old Patrick Wood Crozius, who carried out the August 3, 2019 mass shooting at a Walmart store in El Paso, Texas, killing 23 Latinos. The third are those who perceive themselves as losers. Salvador Ramos, the Robb Elementary School shooter in Uvalde, Texas, fell into this category. And the fourth are the genuinely mentally ill person. The Sandy Hook Elementary School shooter, 21-year-old Adam Lanza, who shot and killed 26 people, including 20 children and 6 teachers, fell into this category. Robert Cremo III clearly falls into the first category, the demon influence shooter. Another example similar to the Highland Park shooting is that of 15-year-old Ethan Crumley, who shot dead 4 persons and injured 7 others on November 30, 2021. in his high school, Oxford High School, Michigan, United States, described in my January 24, 2022 video. From the information unearthed by the prosecutors, his parents, Jennifer and James Crumley, bought the gun for him, and all the evidence points to them knowing about their son's plans for the shooting and facilitating it. They too are under arrest and charged with involuntary manslaughter. My strong feeling is that Robert Crimo III's parents are complicit in the Highland Park shooting. Of course, all mass shooters falling into the category of demon influenced will claim mental illness in their defense. Now, many people who read the Old Testament label the God of the Old Testament as a cruel and sadistic God who ordered the extermination of whole groups of people and ordered that those who were witches or wizards, meaning who dealt with Satan and the demons, should be put to death and codified it into law. Here are those tenets of the law in the first 5 books of Moses. Leviticus 19 verse 31. Regard not them that have familiar spirits, meaning demons, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. So this is, the people are told not to follow such people. In Exodus 22 verse 18, you shall not suffer a witch to live. So they should be put to death. In Leviticus 20 verse 6, and the soul that turns after such as have familiar spirits, meaning that those who are led by demons, and after wizards to go a whoring after them, I will even set my face against that soul and will cut him off from among his people. So the person who follows such people would be put to death. An example is King Saul of Israel when he consulted a woman with a familiar spirit and died in the battle with the Philistines as a result. Then Leviticus 20 verse 27. A man also or woman that has a familiar spirit or that is a wizard shall surely be put to death. They shall stone them with stones. Their blood shall be upon them. Then Deuteronomy 18 verses 10 to 12. There shall not be found among you any one that makes his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that who do these things are an abomination unto the Lord, and because of these abominations the Lord your God does drive them out from before you. Now, only in the 20th and early 21st century have we seen the horrors in the United States of what those dealing with demons and obeying Satan, the devil, and the demons can wreak in any society. There can never be peace in that society. So we have seen their wholesale robbery. That is what the Germans masqueraders are. They follow Satan the demon, or Satan the devil, and obey him without question. We have seen their wholesale robbery, continual victimization of the rest of society, controlling the lives of people with threats, serial killings, mass shootings, clandestinely murdering 5 to 6 million people by cremating them alive in electric crematoriums, medical murders of 3 to 4 million people, forcing 35 to 40 million abortions of white people out of the total 61 million, promoting and practicing sexual immorality, deception in every sphere of life through propaganda and all forms of media to inveigle people to harm themselves and harm their interests. God of the Old Testament, who later came as Jesus Christ, knew what those who deal with Satan and the demons are capable of. He can come up with, that is, Satan can come up with diabolical evil schemes that we can never imagine, and his followers gleefully execute them. That is why he codified the extermination of such people into law. As long as we have such people living in our midst, that is the German masqueraders, mass shootings, clandestine murders, and other diabolical, cunningly crafted evils will not stop. there will be no peace in society. That's how Robert Creamer III and his family and others like them should be dealt with according to the law concerning dealing with familiar spirits or obeying Satan and the demons. Second case is of Chris Hemsworth. Hollywood and Australian actor Christopher Hemsworth was born on August 11, 1983 in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, to an English teacher, mother, and social services counselor father. On his mother's side, he is of Dutch Irish ancestry, and on his father's side, he is of Irish, English, Scottish, and German ancestry. Hemsworth lived his younger days in Melbourne and the Australian outback in the Northern Territory. His brothers are actors Liam Hemsworth, who was married to singer Miley Cyrus for a year and 1 month, and other brother is Luke Hemsworth. Chris Hemsworth is best known for his role as the lead actor in the Thor series of movies. His career as an actor would be highly praiseworthy if it were not for the fact that he has come to the temptation to receive German masquerader help in advancing his career. Of course, he had to meet the hurdle qualification, which he met by murdering a white adult and a child of non-German ancestry. Hemsworth's father had also met the masquerader hurdle qualification, which resulted in all his sons getting a start in their acting careers. But they all wanted to go much further and make it really, really big in acting. For that, all three of them were willing to pay the additional price required by masqueraders, which was to meet their hurdle qualification on their own because their father's wicked deed could get the kids only so far. This family is a prime example of perhaps having 1/8, 1/16, or 1/32, or even smaller fraction of German blood in them, and yet choosing to cast their lot with them to obtain their help in advancing their careers any which way they can. But now that the evil deed is known, they will pay for it with their lives. Miley Cyrus is a smart woman. As soon as she heard about the Hemsworths' wicked deeds, she put Liam Hemsworth out of her life immediately, despite what people have said about her divorce, that she should have hung on to someone like that. Such people are wrong. One should get rid of vile scum without any delay. In Nahum 1 verse 14, God says about the Germans and German masqueraders, I will make your grave, for you are vile. Third case is that of Jayland Walker, a 25-year-old black man who was shot dead by police on June 27, 2022, with more than 60 bullets hitting him out of the about 90 fired at him. The police said that a routine attempted traffic stop turned into a high-speed chase. Then during the chase, a shot was fired from the car towards the officers. Then Walker exited the vehicle and fled on foot. The officers chasing him fired tasers at Walker but were unsuccessful in stopping him. Then Walker turned towards the officers and moved into a firing position, which led officers to fire at him, striking him with at least 60 bullets. Walker was unarmed when the officers shot at him, but a gun was found in his vehicle. According to subsequent information revealed by Walker family's attorney and his friends, he was grieving the death of his fiancée in a car accident, whom he was to marry soon. His friends say he was a good, fun-loving guy. Of course, the first red flag in the whole incident is, why did Walker try to run away from police, and why did he fire a gun at them during the chase? Obviously, he had something to hide. He knew that one day the day of reckoning would come. If Ben Crump had been the family's attorney, this would have been an open and shut case for me to figure out. Apparently, the masqueraders have become wiser and are no longer giving all the police killing cases to Attorney Crump. But that does not hide the facts. Walker was only 25 years old. He was too young to have murdered a white adult and a child to obtain masquerader help with his career. because all these killings stopped about 20 years ago. So the evil deed was committed by his parents and must have the murdering involved murdering a child in addition to an adult for Walker himself to have been targeted. His father Pete Walker, died in 2018 of an unspecified medical condition. Jayland Walker knew what crime his parents had committed and that he would have to pay for the crime since the murder of a young child was involved. But generally, people are targeted for killing because they themselves are involved or intend to commit further crimes. Usually, the crime in Walker's case would have been threatening young white girls to force them to have sex with him. That's why Jayland Walker had to be brought down immediately. Jalen Walker did not die in a racially motivated police killing. He was killed for his parents' crime committed about 2 decades ago and for his own criminal activities. Fourth case is that of Demaryius Thomas. Demaryius Antoine Thomas, born on December 25, 1987, was an American football player who was drafted in the first round and played as a wide receiver in the National Football League for 10 seasons, primarily with the Denver Broncos. He won a Super Bowl with the team. His mother was sentenced to 20 years in prison and grandmother for life for distribution of crack cocaine when Thomas was a child. He was raised by his uncle and aunt. Thomas announced his retirement from the NFL in June 2021. He was found dead in his home in Roswell, Georgia on December 9, 2021. The cause of death was thought to be a seizure resulting from injuries Thomas had suffered in a 2019 car crash. After his death, his brain was examined and found to manifest stage 2 chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a degenerative condition associated with repeated head trauma. Apparently suffered during, that's what they're trying to claim, that he suffered that during his NFL career. Demaryius Thomas did not die of seizure. He was put to death for the murder he had committed along with his mother, which helped him receive masquerader support to succeed in their career. His mom and grandmom were crack cocaine dealers. Obviously, when the murder would have been committed, Demaryius Thomas was only about 14, 15 years old. So his mother and grandmother probably got him to commit that murder, which is what helped him in his NFL career. Masqueraders don't give up helping their people by robbing any victims they possibly can. CTE, or the chronic traumatic encephalopathy, is another medical scam they have come up with to extract money from NFL owners to pay their own people like Demaryius Walker, who committed murder. They will most likely try to help Thomas's mother and grandmother with that money, who were pardoned by President Barack Obama and released from prison. Fifth case, Tyler Sanders, an 18-year-old actor with significant roles in shows such as 911 Lone Star and Fear the Walking Dead, Amazon series Just Add Magic Mystery City, and ABC's The Rookie. He died in his Los Angeles home on June 16, 2022, at the age of 18. The cause of death was not declared and is under investigation. Sanders did not die a natural death. He was executed for the murder committed by his parent or parents, which enabled Sanders to get a start in the entertainment industry since the age of 10. Of course, when a young man is executed, it implies that the parents had murdered a child and possibly an adult, most likely a single-parent mother. Single-parent mother, that means she and her child as well, to be financially rewarded by masqueraders. They will pay for the crime themselves in due course of time. And the sixth case is Alex Murdaugh, son of the prominent South Carolina legal family attorney Alex Murdaugh is back in the news again. He is expected to be charged with the July 2021 murders of his wife Maggie and son Paul. He is already facing scores of other charges involving millions of dollars in insurance settlement, theft from his clients, other fraud, and money laundering. Murdaugh had reported the murders of his wife and son himself in a 911 call. Alex Murdaugh's father, family patriarch Randolph Murdaugh III, died at age 81 a few days after Paul and Maggie were killed. On September 14, 2021, South Carolina State Law Enforcement Division authorities had accused Alex Murdaugh of arranging a former client of his named Curtis Edward Smith in a speeding case to kill him on September 4 so that his son could collect on a $10 million life insurance policy. Murdaugh was subsequently arrested and has been in jail since October 2021. Because of all these murders and deaths in the family, the authorities had begun digging up Alex Murdaugh's past. The police opened investigations into two deaths linked to the Alex Murdaugh family. First, the death of the housekeeper Gloria Satterfield is now being investigated as a possible homicide and not an accident. The second death being investigated as a possible homicide is that of 19-year-old nursing student Stephen Smith on July 8, 2015. He was a classmate of Alex Murdaugh's son Buster Murdaugh. Smith was found dead with a head wound on a road, and the coroner ruled the death as being caused by a hit-and-run collision. But with new information gathered after the killings of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh, the death is being reinvestigated because of fresh information obtained by the police. Then, Paul Murdaugh was involved in the 2019 death of 19-year-old Mallory Beach in a boating accident and was to go on trial on 3 felony counts. Authorities allege that he was intoxicated while driving the boat when it crashed, sending Beach overboard. Her body was recovered a week later. The truth was that Mallory Beach was not killed in a boating accident. She was murdered by Paul Murdaugh by probably being deliberately pushed off the boat. Paul was murdered along with his mother just before he was to go on trial in the death of Mallory Beach. It seems the authorities are working on the theory that Alex Murdaugh is a serial killer with millions of dollars in insurance money involved. Their investigation must have unearthed sufficient evidence to charge him with the murder of his wife and son. He probably did it to cover up some extremely damaging information that could have been uncovered during son Paul Murdaugh's trial. And that is probably why he could have murdered him and his wife. The www.islandpacket.com report states that Paul Murdaugh belongs to an influential family that ran the 14th Circuit Solicitor's Office for nearly a century. That leads me to believe that this family for more than 50 years has been involved in wrongfully convicting innocent people and possibly even having them sentenced to death. In addition, they may have been involved in letting masquerader criminals go scot-free while ostensibly prosecuting them. Then their law firm could have been involved in defending criminals and having them acquitted of their crimes. It seems like Warren Buffett's business partner, the lawyer Charlie Munger, handled the mass murders of whites of non-German ancestry on a national scale in the United States. Just like him, the Murdaugh family ran the racket regionally in the state of South Carolina. The only appropriate punishment for this family is to exterminate everyone, man, woman, and child. Meanwhile, we'll have to wait and see what the new indictment will reveal about Alex Murdaugh's hand in the murders of his wife and son. The seventh case is of Tony Sirico. Gennaro Anthony Sirico Jr., also known as Tony Sirico, born of Italian parents in New York City on July 29, 1942, was an American actor best known for his role in The Sopranos, a show about Italian mobsters. He also made many appearances in Woody Allen films. Before his acting career, Sirico was convicted of several crimes and was arrested dozens of times, including for disorderly conduct, assault, and robbery. While in prison, he was persuaded to give acting a try and found great success. Of course, success in acting did not come without masquerader support in those days. Being of Italian mobster background and with mob connections, it must have been easy for him to meet the masquerader qualification of murdering a white adult and or child of non-German ancestry. Sirico reportedly died in an assisted living facility in Fort Lauderdale, Florida on July 8, 2022. Though no cause for death was given, but he had reportedly been diagnosed with dementia some years earlier. Dementia or no dementia, Tony Sirico was executed for the crime of murder committed perhaps more than 40 years ago. The eighth is case of Jennifer Shaw, the 48-year-old star of the show Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Jennifer Shaw reached a plea deal with federal prosecutors in New York on July 11, 2022, admitting that she defrauded the elderly of millions of dollars in an elaborate telemarketing scam in which her team collected money over the phone to provide business services such as tax preparation or website designs that they claimed would make their companies more efficient and profitable. No such services were actually provided. She could be sentenced for up to 14 years in prison. She is also required to pay $9 million in restitution to the victims. How could Shaw and her team carry out such an elaborate scam? She could not have done it without masquerader help, and to get that help, Jen Shaw met the hurdle qualification of murdering a white adult and or child of non-German ancestry. Once you are guaranteed masquerader help, they have many innovative ways to financially reward such people. One such scam is to sell worthless products on Amazon, which the masquerader quote unquote army of tens of millions committed to them will buy, thus rewarding the murderer. In the same way, Jen Shaw was to be rewarded for actually doing no work. So, her telemarketing scam, they called people and the people were willingly paid up. So once the feds caught onto the scam, it would have been easy for them to find victims and convince or cajole them to testify against her. Jen Shaw realized she could potentially face up to 50 years in prison if she went through the trial, which was to begin in about a week. So she reached a plea deal with the feds. Jen Shaw will also have to pay for her earlier crime of murder with her life. Ninth case, Jimmy Williams, the footballer. Jimmy Ray Williams, born March 10, 1979, played cornerback in the National Football League for 6 years, though he was under contract for 8. He played mainly for the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks teams. He died on July 8, 2022 of undisclosed causes at the age of 43. He was actually put to death for the murder he committed in his younger days to get a start in his NFL career. Then, number 10 case is Wanda Sykes. American stand-up comedian, actress, and writer Wanda Yvette Sykes was born March 7, 1964 to a military colonel father and banker mother. Before beginning her career in entertainment, she first worked as a contract specialist for the National Security Agency. She began her career as a stand-up comedian in 1987. Then she moved to New York and got her start in the early 1990s in TV. Her big break came in 1997 when she joined the writing team on the Chris Rock Show, also making many appearances on the show. As part of the writing team, Sykes was nominated for 4 Emmys and in 1999 won for Outstanding Writing for a Variety Music or Comedy Special. Anyway, there is no reason for me to continue to mention her successes in the entertainment industry and list her accomplishments. The relevant information is that one did not get big breaks in the entertainment industry in those days without German masquerader sport, which meant first meeting the hurdle qualification of murdering a white adult and or child of non-German ancestry. Wanda Sykes met that hurdle qualification, for which she will be brought to justice. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please continue to watch my videos and read my articles on important world events, World War III watch, politics, international business, advice on health and medical problems, and much more for in-depth and insightful analysis. Please also subscribe to my YouTube and Facebook channels Unmasked Truth with Harmanjit Saini to view and get information on the latest videos. Some people do not have the time to go through the full length of videos. They find it more convenient to read the text of the video. Unfortunately, YouTube does not provide the capability to make the text of my videos available on YouTube. But fortunately, Facebook does provide that capability. So I make the text of my videos available on my Facebook channel, which you can easily copy.